Can I hear a little bit louder? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm really honored to be here and share with you guys. Why it's interesting because I'm actually the way of pursuing a good life. It means that actually I'm also pursuing a good life. It doesn't mean that I have a good life right now, huh? To set some expectation. But before we go into the details of the sharing today, I would like you guys to take out your mobile phone, and then for people online, you can take some notes. Just do a quick survey, and then this one is easy. So there will be some statements. So when I read through the statement, if you see yourself in that, then you have to count that. There's a one tick. And if it is not, then you don't have to count. So for example, I'm beautiful and I know it. So yeah, this is one. Yeah. But then the second statement would be, I'm super crazy all the time. So if that is not true, then just don't take it. Yeah. So you, if whatever statement here reflects yourself, yeah, then just give like a tick on that. And then again, this is a fun survey, so be true to yourself. Don't be too serious. We will share something at the end for you, but then for now, just enjoy that, huh? So can I have a question of a survey, please? The first one. Okay, number one. I don't regularly get at least 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and I often wake up feeling tired. Yes, take. No, you don't have to do anything. All right, can I have number two? I frequently skip breakfast or I settle for something that isn't particularly healthy. Yeah, Rosie, you have another take, I know. Yeah. All right. Number three, I don't do cardiovascular training at least 3 times a week and strength training at least twice a week. Yes, no? Okay. All right, number 4. I don't take regular breaks during the day to renew and recharge. Okay, number 5. I often eat lunch at my desk if I eat lunch at all. Yeah, I see some smile from the marketing team. I know who. I'm going to review later. Huh? Number 6. I frequently find myself feeling irritable, impatient, or anxious at work, especially when demand is high. True? Then yeah, that's just one thing for you, Natalie. All right. Number 7. I don't have enough time with my family and loved ones, and when I'm with them, I'm not always really with them. Number 8. I take too little time for the activities that I most deeply enjoy. And don't tell me that your activity that you most deeply enjoy is sleeping. All right, number 9. I rarely stop to express my appreciation to others or to savor and celebrate my accomplishments and pleasures. I think this one is important, right? At work and I think oftentimes we should do some kudos to our colleagues, share appreciation to them, right? But yeah, probably we may not have that habit, but yeah, just take if you do. So if not, then yeah, don't have to. Number 10, I often feel that my life is just a relentless set of demands I'm expected to meet and tasks I have to complete.
Sorry that you named.
Yeah, now that you looked at me, okay, my team member looked at me. All right, number 11. I have difficulty focusing on one thing at a time, and I am easily distracted during the day, especially by email. Yeah, email, Slack, whatever means of communication. Yeah. Slow down a little bit. Number 12. I spend much of my time reacting to immediate demands rather than focusing on activities with longer-term value and leverage. I look at Florence's face, it's like, oh my goodness, alarming. All right, number 13, please. I don't take enough time for reflection, strategizing, and thinking creatively. Number 14, I rarely have any time when my mind is quiet and free of thoughts. Inner peace. All right, number 15. I often work on evenings and weekends, and or I rarely take an email-free vacation or Slack-free vacation. Number 16. I don't feel passionately committed to what I do. Number 17. I spend too little time at work doing what I do best and enjoy most. Number 18, there are significant gaps between what I say is important in my life and how I actually live. Yeah, I see some laughter there and like, okay. Number 19, my decisions at work are often more influenced by external demands than by a strong, clear sense of my own purpose. Number 20, I don't invest enough time and energy in making a positive difference to others and or in the world. So please pause here, okay? You done with the quiz? All right? It's easy, right? So, okay, for online participants, so now we need to do some statistics, right? And in case you are in any group, then you can just, type on the chat box so we know, right? So let's say there are 5 groups. So group number 1 with, now you count all of your results. And if you have less than 5 tick, less than 5 marks, then it's group 1. But then for those who are offline, then raise your hand if you have less than 5 tick. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. How about 5 to 8 ticks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I hope that you guys are honest to yourself. And then group number 3 will be 9 to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Group number 4, 13 to 16. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, most of them are from marketing. Oh my goodness. Director, you here? All right, and then group number 5, which is 17 to 20. Okay. Okay, that's good. Then we don't have the group number 5, huh? Or do we have anybody online that belongs to group number 5? All right, so thanks a lot for your participation. So now I want to share the result a little bit so you guys can see here. All right, so this is like a project called the Energy Project. That is like a scientific project. So this is not the survey that you've taken is based on the study. All right. So if we look at the energy level, then basically your overall score, if you below 5 points, then you are fully energized. So congratulations, those who are fully energized. And from this, and I can easily recognize that my team member Natalie is fully energized despite all of the work that she has. So I think that she needs more, right?
More work.
5 to 8 points, moderately energized. 9 to 12, somewhat energized. 13 to 16, fading. 17 and above, burned out. Yeah, and then I trust your honesty. So it's a big congratulations to our team that we don't have somebody that is burned out based on the survey that you guys taken. So that's great. But luckily, then we can see that most of our team are in the third and fourth quadrant, which is 9 to 12 points and 13 to 16 points, which is somewhat energized and fading. So those are the things that just to for you to kind of make an audit, and especially also it's an alarm for marketing team, because I see most of your team members are in the 13 to 16 part. So that is why I want to invite actually Florence, our director of marketing, to come on stage and share with me further. How she pursue life, and also how she inspire her team to be in that.
Thank you, Thang, for this assessment. So guilty as charged and fading.
But I really think that this assessment is a true kind of wake up call for myself. And honestly, I think for I can't speak for the audience here, but sometimes we are so delved into the everyday task and the things that we have to balance between our work, our life, and everything else, right? I don't have any kids yet, so I can't imagine how people can sort of juggling through life with all of the responsibilities. So sometimes it's good for us to really kind of sit down and take this assessment, in our mind and really think that, hey, am I taking care of myself enough? And I think that this is one of the very first time that I take this kind of audit for myself. So it's not great that I'm in the 13 to 16 points. I don't like the color orange, but I'll try to get to more of a green mark over there.
All right, yeah, so we are going green, huh? I normally joke every time I see Florence, it's like during lunchtime, then she's at her desk. And if you remember the statement, right, out of the 20, there's one saying like, I often have breakfast or lunch at my desk if I eat lunch at all, right? So that's also like a lot, right? So Florence, I hope to see you in the pantry in the coming weeks.
We'll try. Actually, I think it's for myself. I think at a certain point, right, I sort of like convinced myself that it was okay. Like I kind of enjoy sort of like doing something, low demanding tasks like answering email and eat something. And then I thought it was, it's not really a big deal because my mental being saying that it's okay, it's not something that's crazy, but actually, again, it's how you're telling yourself to do things that is not necessarily good for you, right? So I think that's my very first step of changing my lifestyle to be a little bit more balanced and healthy would be, having lunch out of my desk, maybe another desk.
All right. Don't come to my desk then. All right. That today we talk about the 4 dimensions of the energy, and I think that you guys are curious about what are they, right? But then before I go into the definition of the 4 dimensions of energy, I want everybody just to, let's say, stand still for 30 to 60 seconds. After I count from 3, 2, 1, right? You don't have to do anything. Just don't say anything. Just stand still, okay? 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you. Yeah, for those who close your eyes, wake up. Yeah, we're still in the talk show, huh? All right. So raise your hand if you didn't think at all during that 30 seconds. Raise your hand. Okay, we have like 6 people didn't think at all. So the rest, like most of us, right, we think all the time. So my mind even works even when the command is like, just stand still, right? And then you still think of something. And imagine that, okay, now the quick question. Anybody of you think that whatever you do today is less than yesterday? Raise your hand.
Yeah. Today just started.
No, it's not today. This is like present, right? So, and it's compared with the past. Whatever you do today, you think that you do less than the past. Raise your hand. All right, we have 1. And who think that tomorrow you will have less things to do than today? Raise your hand. See, this is a quick survey, right? It means that like the demand of life increase all the time, right? And then the next question, do you think that your capacity to deal with the demand increase all the time in parallel with the demands? Raise your hand. Yeah, so somebody say tricky question. This is not tricky at all. If you look into the graph, then yes, the demand just go up like this. But then your capacity, it will go up as long as you keep on learning. But then to a point, then it probably goes down, especially we getting older and older, right? Accept it or not, it's true. But then if you look into that, then the demand is always there. Now, tomorrow will require us to do more than today. But then the four dimensions of energy, the theory is to help us to stay healthy, to do things more with less, and to have a good life. So now I wanted to share quickly about four dimensions of energy. When you look at the energies, they are physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So today is not a lecture about four dimensions of energy. You can do some Google search later on. And if you ask, if you want to have let's say material from me, contact me. But then I'll explain quickly. Physical energy is related to, the name says it all, right? How you sleep, nutrition, exercise, etc. So physical. Emotion is when you actually deal with a lot of things, and then there are high positive energy, which are excited, happy, right? And then there are also low positive low positive energies like angry, or even when you stand still, it's still a low positive energy. And those energies, those kind of emotion, it will happen along the way. And it comes to you, sometimes you are so happy, sometimes you are so depressed. And then how you actually control the energy. The third one is the mental. So mental is talking about the ability for you to focus on one thing at a time. Can you also raise your hand if somebody can do something, during your day? Let's say just talk about yesterday, right? Was there any moment that you just focused on doing something without being distracted by anything else? Raise your hand. Yeah, so we have 3 people, yeah, right? Just the ability to focus on one thing at a time is very important for us to really pursue a good life. And then the fourth part of the energy is the spiritual. Spiritual is the feeling of being surrounded by somebody else, by a group of people, or by a purpose. Anybody here who actually play football, raise your hand, please. Or even online, just raise your hand. If you play football, yes, we have 1 or 2. Or any kind of sport that require, a team sport, raise your hand. Okay, that's great. Imagine when you are in that team sport, you see the energy that you have is kind of accumulated. And it is affected and influenced by the team members, right? So these are the 4 dimensions of energy. And I'm not going to that one in details, but I want to share it firstly theoretically, but then I want to talk to my co-speaker today, Florence. How do you actually kind of try to balance or try to manage the 4 dimensions of energy apart from all of the responsibility that you have at work and in life?
Yeah, so definitely, rather than balancing it, maintaining it is already hard enough, right? As I mentioned before, there's a lot of things in life that kind of keep us away from, really focus on, hey, let's try to maintain and balance our 4 dimensions of energy. So for myself, obviously, I'm still working through it every single day and try to improve it. I think, especially in work, there are a few practical things that I think that really help me, and I think that it's some easy practical step that everyone can sort of do. So I think the first thing that setting clear principle and boundary when it comes to prioritizing a task, right? So in a day, when for example, you're in an office for 8 or 9 hours, or a little bit less if you spend a little more time working from home, you know yourself best, and you know that, hey, what are the tasks I need to do today that requiring high demand of energy, high focus, and then you pick the time of the day that you want to dedicate that time to finish that. Whether it is 1 hour, 2 hours, and do not let other distractions keep you from doing it, because when you start your day, you already know that you have to finish by the end of the day. So for me, usually I would say my highest peak of the day would be from 10 to 12:30. Sometimes that's why I skip lunch. But like when it's quiet, and then when it's like I can actually really think things through, and then have meetings with the team or something that I really need to resolve during that day, then I'll usually have meetings in the morning. Or in the afternoon, I'll try to reserve from 1:30 to 2:30 to 3, around that time, around all the things that I need to get done before, sort of wrapping up the day. And then from 4 to 5 is when answering emails, answering a lot of Slack that I sort of save on my Slack, save for later, for example. So really try to not try to multitask everything in a way that would overwhelm yourself, but really try to multitask it in terms of, hey, during this day, I want to segmentize my day and manage my time, so then I have time to have a breather, and also really to make the best out of the task that I need to complete on that day. So that is very simple things that I do that start to form a habit, and I feel like I'm much more productive sort of using that.
Interesting when you actually segmentize your time per day for different activities, but I'm also curious, how do you know what is the time or period that is your peak performance? So when you say 10 to 12:30, how do you identify that? Because I think that the audience will also be curious of how, and then they may, copycat that.
Yeah, I think that's really depending on how you operate during the day. So for example, if you sleep really late, right? So for me, I usually sleep quite late, so 12, 1, because I also sort of have to do some work with my colleagues in the US. But I know that I'm not going to be super energized at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. like a lot of early birds. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take really good 8 hours of sleep from 1 to 9 or 12 to 8. And then I go to work, and I know that because I have enough sleep and had a cup of coffee, so that then it's going to be the best, peak time that it's very peak performance for me during the day. But for some people, they sleep quite early, or they tend to have that habit of, I have to get to bed from 9 or 10 p.m. And I know that a lot of them even wake up at 4 a.m., right? So for those people, I think that their peak performance really varies during on what kind of activities they do in a day and how they operate themselves during the day.
Yeah, well, based on what you say, I also want to share my personal experience. When you say about early bird, I'm actually not an early bird per se, but I have to. Every time when I get into Ironman training, imagine that you have to be in the street all the time, and after, let's say, so Ironman 17.3 is like 1.9 kilometer ocean swim. I mean open water swimming. And then 90 kilometer bike ride, and then 21 kilometer run. In order to the latest one that I actually complete was 6 hours 38 minutes. So it means that 6 hours 38 minutes straight, then you don't have any time to rest. Of course you still have to breathe in, breathe out, but then most of the time you really do like hardcore exercises. Then in order to be prepared for that race, then there were like cases where multiple weekends that I had to wake up very, very early, like 3 a.m. in the morning, get myself ready to go out to the street at 4 a.m. and then start, like that kind of cycle of swimming, run, biking and then running. And then that's crazy. But again, I'm not that kind of super early bird. but because of the end goal, the determination to really complete the Ironman. So I have to do so. But then what I'm trying to say is like, if you are an early bird, then that's great. But if you're not, then it's clearly that we have different personas here, right? So Florence is the kind of person, yeah, she cannot wake up earlier. So what she can do is actually identify what is her peak performance period, and then she allocate the most important task to that peak performance, and then the rest she also segmentize all of the time slot into that. And I think that's a good tip. But I also have a side question. Do you think that way of working is more of like programming or kind of like robotic? It's boring at times?
It doesn't have to be like that, right? So I think managing your time and how you do things during that time can be creative. So you mentioned about being programmatic or robotic. I really think that it's just forming a habit for your mental health and how you really understand about yourself. I mean, during that allocated time of the day, what if it's during your weekend, right? Or if it's during your holiday with your family. So there was one question during the survey that says, who during the audience feels like they don't have enough time with their loved ones or not really there with their loved ones. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit of aspect around that, which ties to your questions. Sometimes even for myself, when I go for holiday with my parents or with my husband or family, I constantly checking Slack because I felt like I was missing out something, even though like I inform my team, hey, I'm gonna be out, I'm not gonna be present during this time of the day. I really want to be present with my family when I'm talking to them or have dinner with them, but I found myself that having the constant habit of feeling like I'm missing some due task or something. So really trying to form a habit during, not during just the working days, but also during your other parts of life, right? Once you get home, try to put down your cell phone first, say hi to your husband, your wife, to your kids, to your dog. Let's have, like a non-work 2 hours family dinner. You can talk about work, but I think it's how we can really be there for them during the conversation with them and try to have your mental health segmentized and during that time, like, hey, let's try to be present and hopefully present at that moment for the people that you love. And even for yourself, right? If it's, sometimes that you feel like you're dedicating for your whole self to feel like, hey, this is my hour of the day that I want to work out. I don't want to think about anything else. I don't want to think about the demands I have to sort of cater to during today. I'm catering this time, 60 minutes for my health, for my body. And I really feel like setting that boundary is not programmatic or robotic, but really, really having to have the principles so that you can protect other aspects of your life.
Now, thanks a lot for the detailed answer, Florence. I think it's great in the sense that, like, for an outsider, when we look into a way of life or living of somebody, we may see this kind of like so structural, so programmatic. But then, if the way Florence explains to me and the way I get it is like, once you get that into your habit, so you don't feel that something that you have to do. It's more of like something you must do. I mean, I must do because I enjoy that. So, okay, I set this time for this kind of like activity, another time for actually my family. So, and I be fully present in that moment. That's very important. And what Florence shared to me, then it seems to me like probably the way you answered the quiz earlier was too honest to yourself, because a lot of time, a lot of your sharing reflect the mental energy. Mental energy talking about the ability to really stay focused. And the way Florence said, let's say for example from 10 to 12:30. So that is time of her peak performance. So she tried to really be focused at that time and to settle everything else out and then just work on the things that really matter the most at the time. And that's important. And also at night time, she kind of like spare the time for the family. So those are the things that I think that this is also my takeaway to practice for myself as well. Because apart from the sport thing, then I do now. I mean, in the past I did have like that kind of a programmatic approach, but then gradually I kind of like lose the momentum. Yeah. But one thing that I think is what sharing further is the Slack management, right? Florence saying like, yeah, when we get on even our business personal trip, it's hard for us just to ignore Slack, right? And in the way, I mean, the business model that we are having and also geography that we are serving, we have teams actually working across the time zone. So Slack is something that it's more even important than our daily meals, I have to say. But I think it's good when you set some expectation. If you are get ready for some vacation, send to your partner, send to your stakeholders saying, okay, I will be away that time, and probably Slack or phone, Slack or email may not be attended, frequently, and then leave your phone number in case of urgency. They can just quickly call you. When I must say when I take leave, I talk to my team. If I think I foresee that I may not be able to take a Slack message so often, I can just let them know, okay, in case of urgency, then just call me instead of just slacking me. But then the rest, if I don't say anything, then normally I just take my phone and text Slack message. But the sharing here is like, we are human beings, we say the same thing. It's not about like leader being more productive by, not taking Slack, but I think that sparing the dedicated time for Slack message for different activities during your vacation is very important. Yeah. But then mental, that is what you actually focus more about. How about spiritual? I wanted to talk about this because whatever it is, we are social animal, and then we actually work in team even in our company. How do you practice that spiritual energy every time you're around with your team or with other team, especially when as a company what we are trying to boost further is the collaboration, even within departments or actually cross-functional collaboration.
Yeah, so I think this is one of the aspects that I'm constantly trying to improve in every day. So spiritual for me really is finding that support system wherever that you need it, right? So for example, at work, right, trying to form that support system that, hey, besides work, right, we are all human beings. You are you, I'm me. Besides, floor 20 and 21 of Vitel Tower, we're all just trying to really, live our life at best. So when you sort of withdraw yourself from the work that you're doing every day and really trying to be there just as a person for the team or for any of the colleagues that you have, the support system is so important because you spend the time of the day mostly, even more with your colleagues than your family. And I think that, if you're trying so hard to just focus about work and not really respecting that the individual thinking or how they just try to be empathize, right, of what the person is going through, maybe sometimes try to listen a little bit. And for myself, sometimes, I also share like personal things to my team because I feel like, hey, we are all having the same sort of, day-to-day things that we have to take care about, our family, our parents, or there's a lot of things that, we're constantly need to manage. So then I think whether I'm, exploring that perspective or that sort of connection with the team that working with me, or the colleagues that we have in the US, we try to, having that support system like, hey, thank you for doing the work you do, trying to be really, one of the things earlier that, hey, trying to celebrate their success or our success. Just little things goes a long way, right? Because even though I'm super critical with my team most of the time, at certain times when I know that they work very hard to achieve something, I try to can recognize that, and then seeing that it's trying to lift up our energy a little bit. So I think that in terms of spiritual and work, there are little things that you can do that can make a difference in someone else's spiritual and mental health as well. Beyond work, right? I do have a support system that, the friends that I choose to be with, they're super positive. Somebody that surrounds you really can speak for how you will progress in life. So most of my friends, when they see me or when I see them, we don't talk about like, oh my gosh, like, oh, my job is so hard, or trying to like bring the other person down, but really trying to be constructive, right? Hey, what's bringing you down? Or, do you think that I can help with anything, or you can help me with something? Let's go out, let's have, a nice meal, and really trying to have the support system always surrounded around you with positive energy. So I think that is, some of the aspects that I'm beginning to explore for the journey of being more balanced in spiritual dimension.
I like what you share in the terms of support system. It's for me, it touched me in a way that like it is support system. It means that it doesn't necessarily mean that you just need to have somebody to support you all the time, but the system is there. It's like an invisible backup for you every time you actually face some challenges. I know that I have my team with me, right? To share with you, and I know that a lot of my team members are here as well, but we do have generation gap. Yeah, and I'm more of a sport person where play like Iron Man and then run a marathon, while most of my team do not. And it's not easy for me to really find a way to really blend in, right? And then but then actually from HR team, then we have runs together most of the days during the week. And then we also have, meeting parties as well. And I think that the way that you explain the support system is somehow reflects in that the behavior that we have in. We do have generation gap, but then with those, lunch together and also meeting party. Of course, we don't talk much about, how you perceive life because again, generation gap. But then it creates more rapport for us to really make things better at work. And I think that for all of us here and also online, try to actually create that or build that support system within your department or actually cross-functional. This is important because a company is just like a mini society, right? And then again, we are social animals. So somehow we will be in there. And we don't have just to try to fit in, but I think that blending is also part of the strategy to be there. As you say, just to be there with them. And then probably most of the case, and I may not get the jokes that they share, and even they don't get my jokes as well, but then it doesn't matter, right? We are there together. And then that's great. Emotional. I want to hear from you because we are like men and women. It's different in the way we actually see and also define and control and manage the emotion. How do you actually manage the emotional energy during the day, where you actually probably have something that that's great, we're gonna have more leads, but then sometimes oh my goodness, the campaigns went wrong, and how did you deal with that? All right, I just want to be practical, right?
Yeah, so I think this is one of the aspects that I touch on last because I feel like I'm not great at it at times, but It's funny because I talked to one of my boss before, and he told me that, hey Florence, like when I see you work, do you imagine that there's a lake, right? And there's a swan that is swimming on the lake, and it looks very peaceful, but then like below the surface, the swan is like paddling like crazy. So like he says that I look like in that kind of scenario, and I was like, I never thought about that because I feel like for me, when I operate during the day or when I work or when even, outside of work, I try to really have, the facade of having, like a very stable emotions. I always try to laugh or to smile or to not get heightened emotions like anger or anything that is, above the medium negativity energy, because I feel like nobody needs that, right? Nobody needs your negativity vibe. Nobody needs your angers or anything, because they already have so much thing with their life. So I've been trying to form that habit for a long time, but while that I thought that it's working for me, like nobody can see sometimes my frustrations or sometimes seeing my, like the below the surface that I'm trying to grasp everything and trying to manage everything by myself. It just feels like, hey, your emotion and mental and spiritual and physical, they're actually all connected to each other in a sense that you don't have to put up a wall with your emotion just so you feel like it's gonna be proper, right? So at home, I started to talk to my family more openly, and I let my emotions to be more freely, because I feel like once you bottle your emotions inside and then you try to have that wall and facade, basically you're draining your mental health of trying to protect that emotion. And you're actually, dismissing your mental health just to protect one aspect of the dimensions of energy. So I felt like through time, I find a way to showing my emotion a little bit more authentically. Sometimes I'm like, do you guys really think that it works? Like, hey, let's do better, or like, hey, wow, like I'm really proud of you guys, or like really try to express emotion on how I feel like it is, and I feel like I allow other people to express that to me too. Because once I'm like always trying to be so straight all the time, people be like, I'm not sure how I should tell this to Florence or how I should share this to Florence. And the same thing with my family when they say, Florence, I feel like you're not even open up to your family, right? So I feel like through times I have actually progressed to be, more honest to myself. If I'm angry, but just find, something to sort of release the anger. Or if I'm frustrated, but find a problem to solve that frustration instead of, letting it ball up inside and affect my emotions. Yeah.
Nice. I think that when you say, when you feel angry and you learn to actually show that to your team. And I think earlier when you say about support system, once we have that, then we can easily, be true to ourselves in front of others. And then that is really important. And one of the things that I learned from the leadership is being vulnerable. So sometimes, because as a leader, then it's easy for people to look up to us and seek all of the answer. But most of the time, then we may not have the answer too. And then if we kind of like be vulnerable to them, be open to them, say, I don't even know it. And I also have that kind of, kind of like feeling of being scared or etc. And they know, okay, and then they get more empathized with the leaders, and it's easier for us to really work as a team. And I also like the metaphor that your friend put to you, like, the swan, right? And then what you explain is the 4 dimensions of energy really link to each other. And yes, that is the one that I also want to talk about, the physical one. And this one I'm not going to give you a hard time. I'm going to talk about it because, like I'm more into the sport, right? But then out of the 4 dimensions of the energy, I think that the easiest one to start with is the physical one. Because, emotion is something that sometimes we are, easily attracted, affected by external factors. And even mental, even we are trying to even reset the time like that. And of course, Florence say, for example, okay, you have the time dedicated for that, but then suddenly your boss just come, hey, I want to talk to you for a second. And then the minute that you actually get distracted, and it's also, create kind of like, it slow down the momentum that you had earlier. So the emotional, mental, and spiritual, those are the things that it's hard to, manage and even build from the beginning. But if we start with the physical one, I want just to share quickly my story very quickly when I started running back in 2018. When I first started, because I used to play basketball when I was younger. And I thought that running the 10 kilometers was just an easy thing to do, right? So I talked to my friends, say, okay, I'm going to run like 100 kilometers within like 28 days. I talked to my boss that time. And I knew that and then I soon realized I was into that trap that I set for myself. Because the very first 3 kilometers that I had, it was like torturing. It was not running at all. I breathe in and breathe out like a dog, I have to say, I have to share with you guys. It was crazy, right? But then it just, first off, I committed to my boss. So I wanted to really, keep my reputation. So I had to finish that 100 kilometers, of course, in 28 days, not just one day, right? But then with that practice, with that very first step, then I actually started my marathon running habit. For those who actually run, just imagine that, like you heard that, right? When you run or you do some activity that you love, then your body actually generates dopamine. Dopamine is a kind of hormone that stimulates the focus ability. So when I remember there were times when I was really stressed at work and I really wanted to think of some ideas to implement for the HR activities, and I would just stop, and then I decided that just to run, right? And then I had I remember that day 8 kilometers run in the morning, and that time during the running, so my mind was totally clear, and then the ideas just came into my mind naturally. So I really encourage you guys to start with the physical. Physical one is not just about doing exercise, right? Taking care of the quality of the sleep that you have, what you eat on a daily basis, the nutrition that you actually have. I understand that our companies are young and a lot of people actually enjoy boba tea, right? But then it is milk tea, right? You need to have that, but then you also have to be mindful of the amount of those that get into our body, and then exercise. You can do a lot of activities luckily in our company there are different clubs, like you have badminton, and you have KFC, Catalan Football Club, and then you have Catalan swing, and then you have Catalan, and we also have the Catatopia. Yeah, it's difficult to remember, but yeah, it's board game where you actually get that spiritual energy. So I really encourage you guys. And by doing this, I know that the time is constrained. I want to share quickly with you the tips on how I started with the running. The running, I hated from the beginning, just so you know, because it was not easy at all. But that time, because first off, I actually committed to a target of 100 kilometers within 28 days. So that time it was like 4 kilometers a day, right? And then I was like, okay, it was easy, but then it was not easy at looks. But then you need to commit to 1 or 2 behaviors at a time. I hope that after this talk, and especially after the quiz, You don't have just to run crazily and then, kind of register for all of the clubs in catalog and also participate in any kind of sport out there in the market. But just start one or two that you think you can do and set kind of a goal. For me, it was 100 kilometers within 28 days. But then after that, then I completed, countless half marathon. And for full marathon, now it's already my 8th time finisher. And then the Ironman is 2nd time finisher. So once you finish one milestone, others will just appear. Make sure that you don't, overpromise to yourself. Be honest to yourself. You can do anything. You just set that goal. Don't be just, ridiculous by, okay, now I just start from running, then you already register for an Ironman. Don't be into that disaster yet, yeah? Okay, this part number 4, very important. Define what success looks like. I share with you guys every time, even now, I have that habit. Every time I participate in any kind of half marathon, full marathon, Ironman, I actually draft a message on my notes that get posted after I finish. So I think of, okay, I'm gonna share that kind of inspiring message to the people who follow me on Facebook. And then I think of, okay, I'm an Ironman finisher, and everybody will look at me and say, wow. And then that was just so good that I wanted to do it. So set define that kind of success. Also, important, I share this on Facebook every time I committed to something. Just so you know that lately that actually I took a vocal training class and I posted on Facebook so that my friend know. It doesn't mean that I want to share with them that I'm gonna send my debut soon, but it's just that because I already say to them, I'm so afraid of being look stupid, so I have to finish that vocal training very in the acceptable level. So the way I see is like I share with my friends. That I'm gonna do that. Somebody may look at me and then laugh and say, okay, look, wait and see 21 days from now how I see you transform. And that is when you actually expect some, kind of like a rejection, even from external or from internal. From yourself, I participated in 8 times in full marathon, and just share with you, every time I'm reaching 35 kilometers, I actually yell at myself. I actually talk bad about myself. Why did I start to, kind of like register to this kind of a torturing journey? But then when I finished the rest of 7 kilometers and I got the nice medal and I was ready to register for another one. So there's always a voice inside saying, don't do that, that's stupid. Don't do that. And that is the voice inside, and then also the voice outside saying, look at you, saying, my team member, I finished my Ironman, and then now go back to my running track, and she said, you already finished, then why do you need to start training again? That is the voice of rejection. You get prepared for that. And for me now, it's become a habit, just like Florence shared earlier. When you get something to your habit, then basically you don't have to ask why. And these steps will help you build that kind of rituals, that kind of habit. And once you have that habit to build your physical energy, then the rest of the energy, the emotional energy, the mental energy and spiritual energy will come into place. And that is when you will have a phase in metaphor like the swan, right? Everything looked very steady, very calm on the surface, but then beneath that, everything was just so crazy. But then again, that's how people see the nice picture of you. So I hope that the sharing from Florence and myself today will add up to your ingredients of life a little bit. Again, I want to re-emphasize, I'm not saying that we are having a good life right now. We are pursuing a good life. And this way to look at 4 dimensions of energy will help you actually to look back to yourself, be true to yourself, be honest to yourself, and start to build, kind of plan to pursue a good life. Okay, if not, thanks a lot for your time, everybody. Thanks for bearing with us. And I hope that you have a great day. And then from tomorrow, start something with your physical energy. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.